ओम विघ्नराजाय नमः। ओम विनायकाय नमः। ओम धूमकेतवे नमः। ओम गणाध्यक्षाय नमः। ओम फालचंद्राय नमः। ओम गजाननाय नमः। ओम वक्रतुंडाय नमः। ओम शूर्पकर्णाय नमः। ओम हेरंभाय नमः। ओम स्कंदपूर्वजाय नमः। ओम श्री सिद्धिविनायक स्वामिने नमः। ओम स्फटिकरजतवर्णम् औक्मौक्तकीमक्षमालाम् अमृतकलशविद्यां ज्ञानमुद्रां कराग्रे ददत मुरगकक्षं चन्द्रचूडं त्रिनेत्रं विविधभूषं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे। ओम नमो भगवते दक्षिणामूर्तये मह्यं मेधां प्रज्ञां प्रयच्छ स्वाहा। ओम नमो भगवते दक्षिणामूर्तये मह्यं श्रियं मेधां प्रज्ञां प्रयच्छ स्वाहा। ओम नमो भगवते दक्षिणामूर्तये मह्यं श्रियं मेधां प्रज्ञां प्रयच्छ स्वाहा। ओम ओंकार सिंह सर्वेन्द्राय नमः। ओम ओंकारोद्यानकोकिलाय नमः। ओम ओंकार नीरशुकराजे नमः। ओम ओंकारारण्यकुंजराय नमः। ओम नगराज सुताजानये नमः। ओम नगराज निजालयाय नमः। ओम नवमाणिक्यमालाढ्याय नमः। ओम नवचंद्रशिखामणये नमः। ओम नंदितशेषमौनीन्द्राय नमः। ओम नंदीशादिमदेशिकाय नमः। ओम मोहानलसुधासाराय नमः। ओम मोहाम्बुजसुधाकराय नमः। ओम मोहांधकारतरणये नमः। ओम मोहोत्पलनभोमनये नमः। ओम भक्तज्ञानाप्तिशीतांशवे नमः। ओम भक्तज्ञानतृणालयाय नमः। ओम भक्तांबोजसहस्रांशवे नमः। ओम भक्तकेकिघनाघनाय नमः। ओम भक्तकैरवराकेन्दवे नमः। ओम भक्तकोकदिवाकराय नमः। ओम गजाननादिसम्पूज्याय नमः। ओम गजचर्मोज्ज्वलाकृतये नमः। ओम गंगाधवलदिव्यांगाय नमः। ओम गंगापङ्किलसज्जटाय नमः। ओम गगनाम्बरसंवीताय नमः। ओम गगनामुक्तमूर्धजाय नमः। ओम वदनाब्जजिताब्जश्रिये नमः। ओम वदनेन्दुस्फुरद्दिशाय नमः। ओम वरदानैकनिपुणाय नमः। ओम वनवीरोज्ज्वलत्कराय नमः। ओम वनमासमुल्लासाय नमः। ओम वनवीरैकलोलुपाय नमः। ओम तेजभुञ्जघनाकाराय नमः। ओम तेजसामपि भासकाय नमः। ओम विनेयानां तेजप्रदाय नमः। ओम तेजोमयनिजाश्रमाय नमः। ओम दमितानङ्गसङ्ग्रामाय नमः। ओम दयारससुधासिन्धवे नमः। ओम दमितानङ्गसङ्ग्रामाय नमः। ओम दरहासजिताङ्गनाय नमः। ओम दयारससुधासिन्धवे नमः। ओम दरिद्रधनसेवधये नमः। ओम क्षीरेन्दुस्फटिकाकाराय नमः। ओम क्षीरेन्दुमुकुटोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ओम क्षीरोपहाररसिकाय नमः। ओम क्षिप्रैश्वर्यफलप्रदाय नमः। ओम नानाभरणमुग्धांगाय नमः। ओम नारीसम्मोहनाकृतये नमः। ओम नागब्रह्मरसास्वादिने नमः। ओम नागभूषणभूषिताय नमः। ओम मूर्तिनिन्दितकन्दर्पाय नमः। ओम मूर्तामूर्तजगत्वपुषे नमः। ओम मूलाज्ञानतमोभानवे नमः। ओम मूर्तिमत्कल्पपादपाय नमः। ओम तरुणादित्यसङ्काशाय नमः। ओम तन्त्रीवादनतत्पराय नमः। ओम तरुमूलैकनिलयाय नमः। ओम तप्तजाम्बूनदप्रभाय नमः। ओम तत्त्वपुस्तोलसत्पाणये नमः। ओम तपनोडुपलोचनाय नमः। ओम यमसंयुतसत्कीर्तये नमः। ओम यमसंयुमसंयुताय नमः। ओम यतिरूपधराय मौनिने नमः। ओम यतीन्द्रोपास्य विग्रहाय नमः। ओम मंदारहाररुचिराय नमः। ओम मन्दस्मदनायुतसुन्दराय नमः। ओम मन्दस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः। ओम मधुराधरपल्लवाय नमः। ओम मञ्जीरमञ्जुपादाब्जाय नमः। ओम मणिपट्टोलसत्कटये नमः। ओम हस्ताङ्कुरितचिन्मुद्राय नमः। ओम हठयोगपरोत्तमाय नमः। ओम हंसजप्यक्षमालाढ्याय नमः। ओम हंसेद्वारात्यपादुकाय नमः। ओम मेरुशृङ्गतटोल्लासाय नमः। ओम मेघश्याममनोहराय नमः। ओम मेधाङ्कुरालवालाग्र्याय नमः। ओम मेधाफक्फलद्रुमाय नमः। ओम धार्मिकान्तर्गुहावासाय नमः। ओम धर्ममार्गप्रवर्तकाय नमः। ओम धामत्रय निजारामाय नमः। ओम धर्मोत्तम मनोरथाय नमः। ओम प्रबोधोत्कार दीपश्रिये नमः। ओम प्रकाशित जगत्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रज्ञाचंद्रशिलाचंद्राय नमः। ओम प्रज्ञामणिवराकराय नमः। ओम ज्ञानांतरभासात्मने नमः। ओम ज्ञातृज्ञादिविदूरगाय नमः। ओम ज्ञानज्ञाद्वैतदिव्यांगाय नमः। ओम ज्ञातृज्ञालिकुशागताय नमः। ओम प्रपन्नपारिजाताग्र्याय नमः। ओम प्रणतार्थब्दिवाडवाय नमः। ओम भूतानां प्रमाणभूताय नमः। ओम प्रपंचहितकारकाय नमः। ओम यत्तत्त्वमसि संवेद्याय नमः। ओम यक्षगेयात्मवैभवाय नमः। ओम यज्ञादिदेवतामूर्तये नमः। ओम यजमानवपुर्धराय नमः। ओम छत्राधिपतिविश्वेश्वाय नमः। ओम सप्तसामरसेविताय नमः। ओम छन्दशास्त्रादिनिपुणाय नमः। ओम छलजात्यादिदूरगाय नमः। ओम स्वाभाविकसुखैकात्मने नमः। ओम स्वानुभूतिरसोदधये नमः। ओम स्वाध्यक्षाय नमः। ओम स्वात्माराममहामतये नमः। ओम हाटकाभजटाजूटाय नमः। ओम हासोदस्तारिमण्डलाय नमः। ओम हालाहलोज्ज्वलगलाय नमः। ओम हार्दग्रन्थिविमोचकाय नमः। ओम श्रीमेधादक्षिणामूर्तिस्वामिने नमः। ओम श्रीमत्परमहंसपरिव्राजकाचार्यवर्य श्रीदयानन्दसद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम श्रीमहेशानन्दसद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। Right. We do meditation. ॐ प्रातर्स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसगतिं तुरीयं यत्स्वप्नजागर सुषुप्तमवैति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। watching the dawn of the sun is indicative of the meditation on the self. If you have a chance, see the sun rise up over the horizon. The normal experience is that the sun is rising, it's moving, that is the experience. But if you follow the truth of the experience, you can actually see that this enormous earth is slowly rotating while the sun remains stationary. I encourage you to get up before dawn and see this phenomena. This is a good example of the meditation on the self. My estimation of myself is with respect to my experiences. Basically changing. All experiences, good or bad, physical or mental, are based on a change. My estimation about myself is with respect to my experiences. That I am happy, unhappy, is a symptom of my conclusion about myself as changing. At the same time, the entire world seems fixed and real. Fixed in the sense that whatever I see is the way it is. Even the changes that I see are real. So I see the combination of myself, which is changing, at the mercy of the world, and the overall reality of the world as unchanging. Even the various changes in experiences are considered to be real and fixed. This is how the world is. I see the example of the dawn to take a fresh look at this. Like the sun in the dawn is moving, and the earth remains fixed. When in fact it is the other way round. My taking the dawn where the sun is rising is casual, without any inquiry. It gives me a certain perception which is just the opposite. Opposite of what it really is. I should see the same thing happening with respect to my experiences with the world. I meditate upon the self which is unchanging, Satyam, Satswarupam, always of the nature I am, I am. And with respect to that, everything else is changing. Nothing except the self, which is Brahman, which is Ishvara, Satchit Swarupam, nothing else except the self is fixed. Like the sun, which is always the source of life, light, and heat. The entire world is a recipient of the sun, changing, rotating, hiding the sun, revealing the sun. Having seasons. Similarly, upon reflection, I find the self to be very similar. Always there, unchanging. The giver of life, the source of all thoughts, and all experiences are changing. But through non-inquiry, casual thinking, these two are reversed. The world seems fixed, and my estimation of myself is I'm a transient, changing. This is the confusion, the Brahma. Shastra tells us, inquire into it. This is not true. You are unchanging, and the world, depending upon you, is changing and therefore unreal. Pratasmarami. May I wake up in the morning before the sunrise and use this example to meditate upon myself. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Trying to connect?
It's not yet connected. It's trying.
Not being. There. Oh.
Is it? Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Vishwaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad-vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Gukarastvandakaro Vai Rukarastanivartakaha Andhakara Nirodhitvat Gururitya Vidhiyate Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Chant verse number 4 of the Vaithatya Prakaranam. So number 4 and 5. Antasthanat tu bhedanam
antasthanatu vedanam
tasmat jagarite smritam
tasmat jagarite smritam
yatha tatra tatha swapne
yatha tatra tata swapne
samvritatvena bhidyate
samvrutatvena vidyate
swapna jagrita sthane
swapna jagrite sthane
hye ekam ahuhu manishinah
ye ekahur manishinaha
भेदानां हि समत्वेन
vedanam hi samatvena
प्रसिद्धेनैव हेतुना
prasiddheneva hetuna.
So, in just setting up the context of this teaching, as you know, that the Agama Prakaranam of the Karika was to explain what the Veda is saying, what the Mandukya Upanishad is saying about us, that please look at yourself as something, look at yourself more comprehensively than simply taking yourself to be a waking person. Because right now, my view is distorted because distorted means it's incomplete. It is distorted because it is incomplete. And that means that I view my entire reality from the standpoint of being just a waking person. So my estimation of my life, etc., if you really think about it, it's all based on the basic premise that I am really a waking person. This is who I am. And yes, I think I take some rest at sleep. And yes, there is a kind of like a dream which I am not sure exactly what it is meant for. And it is some psychological steam letting, as some of the Western philosophers say. So that's not that important. And the fact that I was, and because the fact that I am a waking person, then my entire estimation of my life, that I was born on a particular time and probably going to be gone sooner than later, etc., etc. All these kinds of estimations are there. So the Mandukya basically says that this is a very incomplete and therefore a distorted picture. And begin by analyzing not just your waking experience, but all experiences. Don't just, we understand that's what the normal person will do. But if you want to really look into the reality of yourself, complete your analysis. And if you do that, then you find that you have some different view. So then you have swapna avastha, you have a dream state, you have a karana avastha, you have a sleep state, sushupti avastha, and then you have a jagrata avastha, which means a waking state. And then these are states where the basic element is, basic truth is turiya. And then let's look into what turiya is made out of, because we don't think about it. We don't analyze it. We have no tools to analyze it. We don't have tools to think about it. I just take it for granted. But if the more you look into it, you find turiya is the real you. And everything else is just a stop on the way. It's like you enjoy somewhere for a while and then you come back home. The home is the turiya. So this is what the Agama Prakaranam is talking about. So this is Agama means the Vedic. So this is the Vedic view. 12 verses only. And then along with it, some explanation of the 12 verses. that Gaudapada ji has given. And that is the Agama Prakarana. Now we start to analyze it. Why do we need to analyze it? Because in fact if we are Uttama Adhikari, we know exactly what the Shruti is saying, and it changes my view of myself, we don't need to go to the second Prakarana. We can just get up and leave. But that doesn't happen. It kind of makes a little bit of a dent in my thinking. And actually we will talk about this in a bit more detail today, about the dent in my thinking. This is a very important thing that Swami Maheshananji has pointed out, and we'll go over that in more detail today in just a few minutes. But it has made a dent in my thinking, but I am still not totally convinced. I am still not. I am still very much a function of my experiences, which is all Jagrat Avastha, all waking experience. And I have doubts in my mind, and I am not quite sure about all this. Certainly it has not given me the alternate experience yet. So as a result of that, I need to continue to inquire. And the Shastra knows it. So it says, okay, Shastra means that people who explain the Shruti, they know it. So Gaudapada, in this particular case, now embarks on yukti. Yukti means logic. Logic to examine in more detail what the Shruti is saying. So it starts by, first of all, saying that look at the Swapnavastha. So the first three verses was purely devoted to the Swapnavastha, means the dream state. Let's see how the experiences strike you without the possibility of being real. And this is one thing that I think we will study more today. So interestingly enough, we have the dream experience and we have the waking experience. What happens is we don't look upon the dream experience as being real after the fact. Shastra is pointing out that while you are dreaming, it is Jagrat Avastha for you. It is a waking for you. And the reason for that is that anything which appears to be an experience to you is false. As we saw even last week, this is a very interesting thing to see, that whatever you see is false. And the opposite is my assertion. I find whatever I see is real. If I don't see something, that doesn't bother me, because it doesn't really it's not my experience. But if I have an experience, it must be real. Shastra is saying just the opposite. That really speaking, when you don't see anything at all, like you have it in deep sleep, it doesn't bother you. You are just the way you are. But if you see something, then it bothers you. Because why? Because you take it to be real. Anyway, this is the reasoning it's going to follow. We'll go into that in more detail. But now, having taken the example of the dream as being inadequate from a space standpoint, inadequate from a time standpoint, inadequate from all aspects, it is unreal. So it's defining unreality at this point. Then it starts to extend the logic to the waking state with verse number 4, as we saw before. So he says, Antasthana tu bhedanam tasmat jagrite smritam yatha tatra tatha atra, you can add the word atra, swapne samvritena bhidyate. This is what we saw there. Now let us extend this logic a little bit more. So let's look at this. All right, I did some work on it. Finally, we are back to this TV. Verse number 4. So here, let's draw a table. The table is between the swapna and jagrat, between dream and waking. Swapna is dreams, jagrat is waking. Swapna and jagrat. So now there is some similarity and some variations. So let's study that for a minute. Let's look at this similarity. Similarity is, it looks real. Because in Swapna also, when you are dreaming, you don't say, this is not real. So this is a very important thing. Because the experiences of both Jagrat and Swapna are identical. Identical. Almost identical. You don't say, this is just a dream, and I'm just waiting for it to wake up. That doesn't happen. The way you are dreaming, you are affected the same way. In fact, your karmas also are affected. If your karmas were good, you will have a good dream. If your karmas are not good, you will have a bad dream. Nightmare. I was telling you about the recent experience with my brother-in-law who has some serious medical issues and so on. And he was telling me this. He was asking me, he says, do you have any advice for me? Because I wake up every morning with this lot of nightmares. What can I say? It's all, so what can I say means that it's all part and parcel of the whole life's experiences. Both are identical. So anyway, so one is real, ditto, Jagrat also. And then the experience is positive and negative. Good experiences, bad experiences, ditto. Okay? Then comes the next one. The Swapnavastha ends on waking up. And the Jagrat Avastha ends on understanding the self. Satyam, the unchanging reality. Understanding it, really getting it. Not getting introduced to it. That's just an introduction. But to know very well, it also ends. So these three are similar in between these two. Now let us see what the differences are. Because there are some differences. Minor differences in the scheme of things. The differences are not overwhelming. But they are there, and of the experience of Jagrat. So let's look at it. The variation is the effect of waking is overwhelming. It erases the dream right away. This is all experiences. And in fact, it is very, very common that you cannot even remember your dreams. There's some little bit of vasanas are left. This morning also when I woke up and the alarm rang, there was a couple of scenes that I could remember for a few seconds. I have even now forgotten that. This is an important thing. We will analyze this. In fact, today itself. So anyway, the variation is that in the case of the dream experience, the ending is dramatic, gone. In the case of Jagrat, it ends somewhat slowly. That's it. These are the differences. And we will go into this slowly business in a minute, but I'm just giving you the gist of it. So the second part of that is, which is a corollary to the first one, the dream disappears totally, and the world hangs around as not real, but apparently real. Like, for example, in the case of the dawn, the fact that the sun rises after you know exactly how the situation is an apparent reality. You don't really think it rises. In fact, as soon as you become an adult and you understand exactly how the rotation of the earth is moving, you find that the experience remains the same, but you are never confused about it. So similarly here also, the effect of the understanding of the self is in two stages. You could say it's in three stages. One is that you are totally confused about it. The world looks very real. The second stage is when you are now totally convinced that this is not true, does not really affect me, I am independent of it, and yet you still see it. Just like at the dawn also, where the sun is still seen, even though you understand the non-reality of its moving. Similarly, the second stage is, this is what we call Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti means while you are still living, you enjoy the non-reality of it. And our Acharya, Swami Maheshananji in particular, goes over this in great detail and says that I can begin to see this really, because you begin to see the whole thing as an interesting drama. The whole view changes completely. And you let it be whatever it happens, you just enjoy the show. It's like a movie. And it doesn't really engulf you and capture you with the same reality that it did before. But the changes and the experiences continue. Same experiences, but the view is different. So this is what is meant by the apparent reality, until the prarabdha karma takes its place. Prarabdha karma means there's certain momentum, and when that goes away, then you have videha mukti. Not jivan mukti, but videha mukti. Videha mukti means the moksha without having even the experience. So these are the third stage. So the first stage is complete confusion. Second stage is understanding the apparentness. And the third one is Videha Mukti. Now, there's an example for this. There's an example. So let's look at this example. The example is that you're driving over you're going on a trip, and you see at the far distance, there is a fire in the mountain. The whole thing is you just go over some area and suddenly you see a mountain on fire. And the fire is very real. I mean, not real, fire is very It is direct. You can see the flames. Okay? So the example on the dream state is that you see a woodsy mountain on fire directly. Okay? So the example for why is this example for the dream? Because you see that the dream, so you have to translate this. The directness of seeing the fire in the mountain is like seeing that the dream is unreal. You directly see it. Why? Because even traces are not left of the dream. Nothing is left out of the dream. And in fact, Swami Maheshananji pointed out, I'm really amazed how well he knows this is not just this example. I mean, his scientific knowledge is just amazing. So he was very much aware of the REM sleep. How long do you sleep? He says out of 8 hours, 5 hours are spent in dreaming. Really, we keep saying that 8 hours of deep sleep, that's not true. Really, your sleep, which is outside of the dream, is very little. The rest of the time, you're suffering with the dream. So anyway, but at the end of that, you find that the whole dream disappears, and it is very clear. Nothing to argue about it. So that clarity, nothing to argue about, is exactly like looking at a mountain of fire directly. You see, that's the example given. In the waking state, you see smoke arising in the mountain, and the conclusion that it is fire is slow and conditional. In the case of the fire directly, it's not conditional. It is conditional in the sense your eyes have to be open. And as soon as your eyes are open, you say, oh my God, there's a fire there. But suppose the fire is not directly visible yet. It is still smoldering, not smoldering, but it is smoky. And you see the smoke. Now the conclusion that the mountain is on fire is slow and conditional. How? Conditional means, first of all, you must be old enough to know that steam is not fire. White steam is not fire. Smoke is only possible through fire. You cannot have smoke without fire. You can have steam without fire. This the child does not know. Doesn't know. So the child also has to be taught to make this distinction. This is the first conditionality. You must be old enough to do that. The second one is, even if you are an adult, it takes you a little while to figure out, is it steam or is it smoke? Not clear in the beginning. You see something coming up, but it may take you seconds or minutes or something. And maybe there's both of them. It is very possible that there may be a factory close by which has steam coming out of its chimney. And so you are not sure for a while. The fact of the matter is that it is still on fire, but your conclusion takes a little while. That's it. My display of this is over. Okay, so this is the situation. Now let's look at the 5th verse And the word Manishina, which is what Swami Maheshananji is really focusing on. So very important things. So let's look at that. We've already chanted this. So number 5. Swapna Jagrita Sthane Hi Ekam Ahuhu Manishinaha Bhedanam Hi Samatvena Prasiddhena Eva Hetuna. So he says, Manishinaha Ahuhu. And this is a word we're going to spend some time on. What do you mean by Manishina? They say, what do they say? That Swapna Jagrite Sthane, the two of them are really identical. The Ekam. Why are they in? Because Samatvena Bhedanam Prasiddhena Eva Hetuna. So the wise people say that the dream state and the waking state are indeed identical because of the similarity of objects due to the well-known reasons. Well-known reason means there's not enough space for it to be there, etc., etc., all those kinds of things. Okay? Okay. So now, Swamiji says, let us look into the word Manishina. Manishi. So he says the word Manishi means the one who has tamed his or her mind. Tamed. Won over. In Hindi he says, usko jeeta gaya hai. Man ko jeeta gaya hai means he is already won over. So you can say won, the mind that has been conquered. Or the one that has been tamed is a better English translation. So the one who has successfully tamed the mind is called Manishina. Okay, so let's just follow this logic. So here, if it's very interesting, in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, if you go back to the very beginning of the 13th chapter, here Arjuna asks, 13th chapter, 13 means that 2/3 of the Gita is always over. In order to point this fact out, Manishinaha, the way the 13th chapter is presented is Arjuna asks, Krishna, what is knowledge? Krishna should have given him one thappat. What do you think I've been talking about all this time and so on and so forth? What is knowledge? What do you mean by knowledge? But he doesn't do that. And he points out the knowledge by saying amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, he says knowledge means taming your mind. The knowledge is already there in you. You've already been told, but you don't get it. What can I do? Krishna says. And you will not get it until you tame your mind. Really speaking, this dialogue in the Gita also is a beautiful dialogue which says that it will not really have an impression on you until you reverse the way you are casually thinking. You have to really look into it and tame your mind. And so the one example of this would be that Swami Maheshananji also says, he says, I cannot tell you how often people will say, Swamiji, you know, what you all talk about is good. I like what you're saying. You seem to be a knowledgeable person and so on. But, Swamiji says, what do you mean by but? So he says, you know, Vyavahara has to happen. All the transactions have to happen. So how can I get rid of it? You know, I'll give you another example of this. This is the, you know. So, for example, says that please speak the truth. Truth is very important. Just follow the guidelines. Daivi sampat, natu asuri sampat. This is very important. So people will come to me and say, Swamiji, this is all good on paper. But you know, I have the whole society is corrupt. I have to do corruption. I have to do corruption. Everybody else is falsifying their tax records. I'm the only one. My spouse says, "Are you fool? You should also do it." So he says, Swamiji, all this is good. Maybe when I'm retired and so on and so forth, I'll do it. But really speaking, this is the reality. I have to go with it, and this is what it is. Swamiji says this is the example of not taming the mind. You are unable to pursue what you need to do. So exactly the same thing is true where the Shastra says anything you see is unreal, and you say, how can I do that? Anything that I see is real. It's just the opposite. And you said, no, but at least you have to start thinking, what's this, Swamiji, how can I think? This is real, table is real, my problems are real, what do you mean? This is an example of a mind which is untamed. So the Manishinaha is the one that has started on the road to follow the advice of the Shastra. Then you have to do it sooner or later. And it will be much better if you do it sooner, because you still have a life to look at, and then you can see the progress of using this logic. How else are you going to? It's not that the truth is not there, it's just that you don't see it. And why don't you see it? Because you are still going with the old thinking, that my mind says that this is real, so I don't know what else to do, that this is the way it is. Well, who is wagging the tail? You are the boss. Tell your mind, I know. I know that it looks very real to you and so on, but I'm going to pursue the thinking and loosen it a little bit. I was just thinking about this, this definition of the word Upanishad. If you look at the word Upanishad, we have done this several times, but if you look at this definition of the word Upanishad, this is an important thing to see. So the word Upanishad consists of two prefixes and a dhatu. The two prefixes are upa and ni, and shad is the dhatu, which is actually sat. But because of the sandhi rules, it becomes shat. So upa plus ni plus shat becomes Upanishad. So this is what the Upanishad does. What does it do? Upa means that it reveals the truth which is very near you but not yet seen. Very personal. Nothing, it doesn't talk about, other things, some minor details about you. Upa means you, very close to you, number one. Second one is ni, means nishchayena, definitely. Don't even have any doubts about it. It's the truth. Then comes the dhatu shat. This is what I wanted to focus on. So there are three meanings given. All three are important of the dhatu called shakt. Okay? One is called visharanam, one is called gati, and the third one is called avasadhanam in Sanskritam. Visharanam, gati, and avasaranam. Here, the word visharanam is the important one. Visharanam means it shakes it, loosens it. Beautiful like translation. Swami Dayananji had given this. It loosens it just a little bit. And I remember the example, I think Swami Dayananji had given, or Swami Chinmayananda or Swami Dayanand, I don't know which one, who had given this beautiful example. So the example is that you are part of an archaeological team. You know, you go to some place and you are saying, oh, you know, there used to be a big city buried underneath this, and we need to find out. And so you have graduate students, undergraduate students, and there is a professor, and the whole team actually goes through for an archaeological find. So suddenly somebody is digging, and a metallic sound comes in the digging. Because if you're digging on dirt, there is no metallic sound. But if you're digging on a metal, ding, some sound comes. So this person says, sir, he runs to his professor and says, I think I heard some metallic sound. So this is very exciting. Everybody comes in and says, where? He says, this one right here. Now, this looks as part of the earth. Nothing seems to be really, but it's covered under dirt, but it is, yes, it is metallic. So what they do is they start to kind of move all the dirts and so on. And then through some crowbar, they find that this is loosened a little bit. So the whole, it looks like a vessel which is together, but loosens from the rest of the earth. Now it is pakka. Yes, it is a vessel. And now it's a matter of carefully, without damaging it, removing it as a separate item. But the beginning of that is loosening. This is called visharanam. What it means is that without the knowledge of the Shastra, this whole world looks very real to me. And it's reinforced by history, by your parents telling you, yes, I saw you being born. And every time you go to the burial ground, you know it is going to end. Whole thing looks absolutely real. What the Upanishad does is to loosen this fixed view just a little bit, loosens it. You haven't really cleaned up the vessel, you haven't pulled it out yet, but it's enough. So therefore, the Manishinaha is one who has pursued the loosening of the mind. The mind loosens it in the beginning, but it pursues it instead of just being a slave. You see, this is an important thing. Instead of just being a slave, that this is there's, you know, whatever, how can I dismiss this huge world? This is so real to me. I have to contend with it and so on. I have to slowly follow the truth. It takes a while, it will take a while. And you know, the best part is that if you follow it, it starts to work. I think in my own personal experience, I was telling you that I am no longer as bothered by the world as I used to be. And I can see this. This is a slow process, but it is working. It is working. And so as I was telling you about Swami Chinmayananda's beautiful example, and you again going back to the dawn in the morning, what you will find is that supposing you are in your bedroom and there's complete darkness, and suddenly there is a little bit of light. And you see, is it somebody turned the light on in the next room, which has some glimmer and you can see some light? No. This is the light of the sun. When in the very beginning it looks like a small sliver. It's before dawn. It's called Usha. The word Usha is used for that. It means before dawn. And then it becomes slowly overwhelming. And the sun hasn't even risen yet. The whole sky is light. The whole light is just coming up. And I tell you, it's exactly the same thing as the working of the Shastra in one's life. Certainly in my life. It is slowly dawning. I haven't seen the sun yet. I am not Jivan Mukta yet. And God knows what will happen, when it will happen. It's not for me. I'm doing the best I can with my limitations. But it is happening. It's loosening the hold on me. So here, Swamiji goes into this in great depth, Swami Maheshanand. This word manishinaha is an important one. So this is where you see the wisdom of the commentary on these things, because you read this, number 5. You see, supposing you're reading a book. This is why just sort of going through the whole thing, reading books and so on and so forth, doesn't do much. You say, Swapna Jagrita Sthane Ekam Ahu Manishana, the wise people say these are all the same. You say, oh, the wise people must say it is all the same. Okay, then you go to what's the next verse? Then you go to the next verse. Adavante cha yatra. First of all, look at the contribution. First of all, the Upanishad says it. Then you need someone to translate, somebody like Gaudapada, and say, wait a second, there is a lot inside of this. And then you need Swami Maheshanandji or Swami Dayanandji or any of the acharyas to say, do you know what this really means? Don't go anymore. Just stay on the word Manishinaha. See that in your own mind, what you have to do. So this is an important word in that sense. Here, so he's pointing out that really, just following up on these comments, that the Upanishad also says the same thing. He says that Jagrat Sthan Saptangaha Ekona Vimshati Mukhaha, the 19 different ones. And then on Swapna Sthana is also the same one. This is exactly the similar. There's no differences. But it doesn't go into how do you do that. So for that, the Gaudapada is explained and so on. So he says that the entire sequence of how you tame your mind, what is the process of doing so, and is an important one. So here, dhyana and dharana and samadhi, all of the Ashtanga yoga, all that is very important. You have to just keep on focusing it. And abhyasa, in fact, today's Sanskrit in the Gita class, we're going to do that. It's exactly the same thing where Arjuna asked that my mind is going haywire. A slightly different topic, but very similar. How do I do that? So Krishna says, abhyasena and abhyasena and vairagyena cha. So abhyasa and vairagya both are very important. And we will go into this in more detail in the Gita class. But what he's saying is that really abhyasa means to be focused on something which is useful and interesting to you. Until you become naturally focused. So it's not as though developing concentration or anything. It's just that when you look at these kids playing games on the cell phones, they are so focused. You can't talk to them. He says, hey, what are you going to have for dinner? And they are not listening because that game is so interesting to them. And there also they have to learn. Somebody has to tell them, hey, have you seen this game? And they say, no. He says, let me show it to you. Whatever these games are. And then pretty soon they start playing it again and again and they get hooked. Once they get hooked, it means this is absolutely the one. I want to play this all the time. And then this is called abhyasena. Swami Paramarthananda had translated this very beautifully. So similarly here also, just getting acquainted with the truth about Swapna Jagrata is just a start. It's like a game that you don't know yet. But the more you look into that, I mean, if you look at my own life, I'd rather do this. Everything else has just fallen off. And everything else that I do is just so that I don't hurt anybody in the family. If we have to take a trip, I have to take it. But I'd rather not do anything. It's so beautiful. And so this is where both abhyasa and vairagya. Vairagya means that I don't have silly things that I used to do before. Gone. So this is the taming of the mind. This is the process towards becoming a manishi. You cannot just dismiss it and say, wise people say it, but I am not wise. Hey, I want to become wise. I think from the very beginning, I remember one good thing about myself was that I never used to look upon the swamis as something, is what they say, that please don't be a student forever. It's not a good thing to do. That you put somebody on a pedestal. I remember that a lot of satsangs will come, generally from the Western students. They'll say, Swamiji, you are such a wise person. You know Sanskrit for number one. And you know all this and Shastra. What am I going to do? I don't have a chance. And Swamiji used to get really impatient with that. He says, I used to be just like you. What do you mean? And so from the very beginning, I used to think that it's not as though I want to be as good as them. Why not? And if not, then maybe in the next life. Doesn't matter. Let me start on that. So this is the issue here, that to really conclude in the example that I showed earlier, to conclude, yes, this is going to disappear, that there is in fact fire, you have to go through the definite signs of fire. And if you do that, you say, of course, I don't see fire yet, but there is fire. So similarly here, they are also giving us all the points that you have to follow. Very soon, in fact, the very next verse would be, and in fact Gita also says the same thing, that you have to see that anything that ends, that begins and ends, is unreal. This is something I have to follow. Right now my mind says no. My mind says that anything which is appearing before me is real. And the swapnavastha is gone, so it is unreal. But no, something which is going is also unreal. All of that will come later on. So, one thing that quite a few other things to talk about. I'll just do this now. So Swami Maheshananji says another thing you should see is another similarity actually of the Swapnavastha and Jagratavastha, dream state, and that is that in the dream state you have what is called a grahya grahaka bhava. Grahya grahaka bhava means there is a phenomena going on where there is a seer and a seen. Grahya means the seen and grahaka means the seer. So he says, observe this. In the dream, you have the experience of the dream is in terms of this phenomena, that there is in fact a seer of the experiencer and the experienced. Both are there. And he says, please observe that in the Jagrat Avastha also there is an experiencer and experienced. And he says, Shastra says, whenever your entire phenomena is of this nature, it is unreal. The nature of the self is, it is neither an experienced nor an experiencer. Why? Because both the experienced and the experiencer require change. Atma is nityoham. So this is where you need to follow the direction of the Shastra. That so far this is not the reality. This is not where it will end. So the two phenomena are similar. Both of them have experiences. Both phenomena involve experiences. And experiences involve experienced and experiencer. Grahya grahaka bhava. So in Hindi he says, जैसे स्वप्न में ग्राह्य ग्राहक भाव है, वैसे ही जागृत में भी है. जहाँ जहाँ ग्राह्य ग्राहक भाव है, वहाँ मिथ्यात्व है. जहाँ न जानने वाला है, और न वो किसको जाने, वही सत्य होता है. भेदों की समता किससे? ग्राह्य ग्राहक भाव दोनों में, इसलिए उसकी समता है. Means that the reality is where you don't have this duality of experience. And the only thing that comes close to is your deep sleep. But there you don't know that you are neither the experiencer. So therefore, when you wake up, you still have the same thing. Okay, so this is one thing. Now, so going back to a little bit more, some explanation. This is out. I should have done this before. So he says, look at this. This is very similar to that. The dream state, as we said earlier, must be like the Jagrat. Yeah, this is really interesting. We always say that the Jagrat Avastha is like dream state. It is equally useful to analyze that the dream state is like Jagrat Avastha. Very important to see. And one of the aspects of that is Grahya Grahaka Bhava. And a very beautiful example that Swami Maheshananji gave. He says, you cannot have an ornament without gold. So whenever you have an ornament, something that really pleases your eye, what a beautiful ornament, it has to be based on gold. And so here, the gold is the experience is the goal. You cannot have either Swapnavastha or Jagratavastha without having the experience. So the gold in both of them is common, not different. Their shapes are different, but the basic gold is the same. Okay. Then the last thing, we may not get enough time. I want to leave a little bit of time for questions. This is also important, and so perhaps we'll do that next time. Why is it that the dream state ends so quickly? And despite my attempts, the Jagrata Avastha doesn't seem to change. Why is it? Great analysis of this, maybe not adequate here yet, but certainly the beginning has already been done. Swami Maheshananji says, here's what happens. All experiences are tinged with vasanas, leftovers. So what happens is that you have some experience, and based on that, there is something left over that continues on to the next one. So very similarly to that is a case where you say, you know what, you have some things to do. Those things to do are a residue from yesterday. And what you're doing today would leave a residue tomorrow. So there is a certain continuity of thought. So here's what happens. In the dream state, it happens so quickly and so many different ways that the continuity is not there. In fact, in a given night, I am told that we go through many, many dreams, dozens of dreams, and they may not have any continuity between them. So therefore, it is concluded, we'll do this again some other time, that the vasanas of the dream are very weak, W-E-A-K, weak. the vasanas of the Jagrata Avastha are stronger. That's all. It's the strength of the vasanas that creates the difference. Minor differences in that table that I showed, we can add all of this. I just wanted to give you a brief idea about that. You can build your own table, really. That'd be nice. And so this is what happens, that the sense of continuity is stronger. You still have the same spouse that you had yesterday. And if you think it is not there, their spouse will make sure that it is absolutely there. Children, families, and so on and so forth. So it is really just a kind of like a flow that makes it sound real. You know, I don't know, I'm just making this is something that I'm just doing. That, for example, when you see a film, the reason the film seems so real is because it is run through so quickly. Each frame is really static, and the next frame is slightly different, static, slightly different, static. And so now if you run through all the frames quickly, it looks like it is really happening. There is some change and so on and so forth. When in fact, when you call the bluff of it, it will disappear. So it's just that your mind at the moment is refusing to cooperate with you in following the truth. You tell your mind, hey, can you just think like I want you to think? And that is that let us pursue the fact that I am independent of the problems of this life. When your mind says, are you crazy? I am not going to pursue this. I've got jobs to do, I've got things to do, and so on and so forth. So you say, okay, all right. But after that, maybe tomorrow, I say, okay, tomorrow we'll see. This is exactly how we are a slave of the mind. So as the Gita also says in Krishna, Jnanam, you want Jnanam? Amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantir, arjavam, acharyo, upasanam, shaucham, etc., etc. Jnanam is there, but you don't see it because your mind is untamed. So this word manishinaha here is the pivot which Swami Maheshananji uses to point out how to appreciate the Jagrata Avastha as also being unreal. It just takes a while. But don't give it up and say, oh, they are very different, what are you talking about, and so on and so forth. That's my old thinking. The new thinking should be, maybe this is true, and let me give it some time. Anyway, so this is how the teaching is done. It is not just reading a text and then going on to the next one. You have to see how. Anyway, so we'll continue on that. Swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaah go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samastha sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasya shalini deshoyam shobharahitah brahmana santu nirbhayaah sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaah sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet asato ma satgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityo ma amritam gamaya om purnamadah purnamidam purnamudachyate purnasya purnamadaya purnamevavashishyate om shanti 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 hari om shri gurubhyo namah hari om. sets of questions. Anybody? Yeah, Chola?
The big thing is like when you say the total deep sleep, the mind is not there.
Mm-hmm.
You resolve it, the mind,
Yeah.
because you don't have
Mm-hmm.
But when you go to Turiyam is totally just a pure consciousness, correct?
Yeah,
There's nothing, no subtle bodies, nothing.
right.
Until you recreate, I mean, if you're gonna come back as a Jivatma, then the subtle body travels, correct?
Yeah.
Is that true assumption or no?
Well, the subtle body is always there until the the unreality of the subtle body is also seen. So the Turiya is always there. Turiya is always there,
Yes.
but there is a temporary feeling that I am somebody other than Parameshwara.
Until then you
And
keep on
so then you have your soul, which is the Sukshma Sharira.
Sorry.
And the soul, which is the software, will continue on until you'll catch another hardware and continue on with the quest, because you think you really want Parameshwara, but you don't know that you want Parameshwara. So you think that I can be happy with this and so on. So until then the Sukshma Sharira continues on. It is needed because it is needed for you to complete your search until you understand that my jivatvam is false. It is only Parameshwara who is there, which is nothing but Brahman alone. In which case even that is discarded. Yeah.
So then the coma state is also like a dream, right?
So the coma state is where you have, it's more like deep sleep, not like a dream. Because in coma you don't really have any mind. Just like but you have ignorance. You have self-ignorance is still there, just like in deep sleep.
Okay.
So coma is more like deep sleep. And death is like deep sleep. The transition between one jiva and another is like a deep sleep. Yeah. Yeah.
The word Visharanam, loosening the
Yes.
fixed view, is it same as the Shitalikaranam?
Shitalikaranam, exactly the same. Same one. Shitalikaranam and Visharanam are identical. It means the world at least loosens its hold on you. It's possible. The possibility that this is not real itself is a great thing. It hasn't happened yet. So the two other meanings of Upanishads, one is Visharanam, which is the start. Gatihi. Gatihi means the whole process and the the objective. And then Nashanam, which is Avasadanam, means that in the beginning it just seems like loosen. And then, so it's very much like, where you find that the dawn, as we talked about today, that in the beginning you see the possibility, some child is told that, you see that the sun doesn't really rise, it's the earth that moves around it. And so you are told that this is a possibility. And then you say, okay, but until you see the experience, you should do that sometime. This morning that's how I actually was thinking of that meditation today. My God, you can see the earth move. You can just visualize. Huge thing just slowly moving. So that is the avasadhanam. Then you find that, my God, this is an amazing thing altogether. So yeah, but the Shitalikaranam and Visharanam are identical. Yes, Kalpana?
I want to clarify the Grahya Bhavana. In Swapna and Jagrat both, the seen and the seer are both mithya. Is that what
Correct.
you are saying?
That is the correct.
But
That's
then I am the seer, who is the satyam,
so.
who is Brahman.
Yeah. So there is a difference between this. This is an important question, and we'll go into this. So you may have seen my mentioning this. So one is I, the Sakshi,
Yeah.
who is really not a seer in that sense. It is just the common. It's the common thing between both the seer and the seen. So that's number one, Sakshi. And then it is the jiva as the me. So I made an English distinction some time ago. I think I'll follow that distinction between I and me. So the me has a meaning of conditionality and some limitedness, some personality. All of those things come in. And so eventually what we will see is that the me is a reflection of the I. And like a reflection which is conditioned by the upadhi. See, the reflection, it looks like you, but it is now tinged with the shape of the upadhi and so on. So the me also is the reflection of the I. It looks like the I, but it is not.
So here the grahak is the reflection, the me.
Yes, grahaka means the one who is the seer, me.
Me.
Yes.
And sakshi is I.
Correct.
The ultimate
Right.
Brahman.
Exactly. Yeah. Got it. Okay. All right. So, thank you.